Big Irish Juggalo. You made an awesome video about Juggalo subculture. This is my response. I think that the Juggalo subculture has actually grown into a far more complicated melting pot than just family kids and juggalos, OGs or whatnot. But you were talking about what puts us all together in that group, in that juggalo group. You talk about the failure in larger culture and how our needs are met in the subculture. So, what are our needs? Our needs are acceptance. And fuck you, Big Irish Juggalo. Fuck you for making me have to go look up subcultural theory and almost die of boredom. Now, you talked about the word family, and you talked about how people find others with a like mind. And again, I myself got into ICP when I was 17 years old, and I was graduating high school, and my world was changing, and that music was a breath of fresh air during a critical point in my life when I was leaving my parents' house for the first time. I was going to college. I was becoming a man, like that Alice Cooper song, I'm 18. Except I was gonna be 18. Anyways, the point is that I was a newbie once, but times have changed, and Big Irish Juggalo just does the best job explaining what everybody else can't seem to, it's like dysnomia, tip of the tongue syndrome, right? You know it. It's just so hard to put into words. But that period of our lives when we start looking for that status and identity is when people pick up on ICP, okay? And ICP are icons. Yes, Jay and Shaggy are the epitome of this movement. Psychopathic Records is the label, and Juggalos are true fans. I read this article one time about how all an artist needs to do to stay profitable, or to not fucking bomb their career, is to have a certain thousand, like maybe 1,000 or 2,000, 10,000. I forget what the number was, but as long as you have a bare minimum of true fans that will support you, go to your shows, buy your shirts, buy your music, they'll buy everything you do, right? Everything you put out, they'll support you. They will support the music that they love. They will rep the merchandise of their favorite band. Okay, so a true fan is going. When you take all these true fans together, that is what this artist is thriving on. They're not relying on the music industry per se, because they have these true fans that absolutely love what they do, and they're going to support them through thick and through thin. That is the definition of a juggalo. All right? And I love the part of the video when you say that people don't understand that this is normal. That it's part of the psychological process. And these subcultures, which, by the way, I think we've all rubbed elbows with other various subcultures. For me, I've met ninjas that are into hunting. There's a really cool hunting subculture. Some of my family in Minnesota have these photo books where I'm flipping through them, and man, it's like hunters are crazy, man. They're holding deer up by their legs and gutting them. I mean, I got friends that fish too. There's a fishing subculture, right? Surfers. I've been a snowboarder my whole life, even though I admittedly have not snowboarded in years. I don't have the money to go right now. But there's a snowboarding subculture. I used to be a subscriber of Trans World Snowboarding magazine, and I got one of those suckers every month for years. And I collect. I mean, I actually don't have them anymore because my collection was so fucking huge that moving from apartments and dorms, I couldn't keep my snowboarding magazine collection. Although I do admit that I kept them around for aesthetic value, and definitely drew from them for artistic purposes and projects. But I'm getting way off topic here. Some of the standout subcultures in music would be the fish heads and the parrot heads. And let me tell you something: juggalos are primarily like, you know, young. I mean, older guys like me and you, Big Irish, are few and far between, right? We're outnumbered, right? All right, just checking. We all understand that as the years go on, this subculture is getting bigger and bigger, and it's not because there's more people that are 33 years old that are picking up on it. No, it's people that are looking for their identity, and they're looking for that status. And so there are new generations of juggalos now. Okay. I, if I can just go back on that tangent for a second, had the privilege of being a part of an awesome subculture of boaters, and not sailors, but my father used to have a boat. And I did get certified as a scuba diver when I was 12 years old, and there is a scuba diving subculture. And the reason I bring this up is because I have a memory of one of my father's friends who, when we were like suiting up for a dive, and you know, I'm like 13 or something. He asked me, "Hey man, what do you listen to on what radio station do you listen to?" He asked me. He was just being friendly, and he wanted to know what kind of music I liked. And I said, "Oh, I don't listen to the radio." And I swear I've never heard anyone say that something like this before. But he was like, "Oh, really? Oh, you got to check the radio out. I mean, you know, have you ever heard Pink Floyd, The Wall?" And that's when I realized how narrow-minded I was about music. And I had my favorite bands, you know, and really, when I was really young, I listened to what my parents listened to. And are my parents are awesome. My mom plays the piano, my father plays the piano. And my mom is a beautiful singer, okay? When I was really little, I actually took singing lessons. Gave that up, and I played the trumpet. I played the baritone trumpet in junior high, and I gave that up for soccer in high school, and I gave that up for art college. And I can never say that I've given up art for music because I still do way more graphic design than I do music. But I am now I'm a lyricist, and I do make music and I do perform. But anyways, off of that topic, off of that tangent, and back to the topic. I know that the business side of psychopathic is that goes over some people's heads. In a way, family kids are not privy to certain things. And in the realm of juggalo history and, you know, some of the things that we find to be common sense definitely doesn't resonate with certain newbies in the juggalo subculture. So here's a good analogy. There's a difference between reading the novel and seeing a movie. And if you're illiterate, you can't get the message off of the page, right? Well, some people miss the message in the movie. Maybe it's their attention level, they can't still their minds, or they can't stay awake. Things go over people's heads all the time. Remember when everyone used to talk about the butterfly? You don't hear people talk about the butterfly too much anymore, but you know, until the subculture got that figured out as a whole, we talked about that a lot. And right now we talk a lot about the differences between different generations of juggalos, and we talk about it until we got it figured out. So we crave acceptance and identity, and then don't get it twisted. We're not looking for acceptance and identity from everybody. That's part of the thing of being an outcast. So when you're an outcast and you're not accepted, it's understandable that you may not be accepting of other people as well. You know what I mean? If you get smacked up enough, you may become a fearful, vicious animal. Anyways, I really don't know if I can explain how difficult it's been for me to become the ninja I am today. When I was wicked little, I was very hyperactive. They held me back in fucking preschool. You know, they actually have a readiness in between kindergarten and first grade that they put people that aren't ready for first grade. They held me back in preschool because I wasn't ready for kindergarten. I don't know what the hell it was about me that I didn't make the cut when I was in preschool, but I'm just saying, like, I was a slower developer somehow. And I also had a pretty bad lisp, and shit, I went to speech therapy for years. I remember feeling a lot of anxiety as a kid. And by the way, if you don't know, my name is Beastmaster. Okay? And the take home point here is that the identity that we find for ourselves in the Juggalo subculture is identifiable aspects of being a Juggalo. In my opinion, it is your sense of humor, right? Wah, 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 do 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 do. Bam, 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 bam. I love this record. Okay? That's some funny shit. And if you don't like that, then you're probably not going to be a juggalo. In your taste of music, all right? I love Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin. I love Rage Against the Machine when they were around. Rest in peace to, what is it, MCA, Beastie Boys? They were the shit. You know, I actually like their shit off of Hello Nasty the most. That was my favorite album of theirs. And go figure, that's when I started, like, that's when, I was going to concerts by then. I was a juggalo when that album came out. Anyway, the other identifiable aspect of being a juggalo is your love for music. Because even if you like it, if you don't love music, then you're really not going to pay that much attention. You know, it's probably like my old buddy who asked me what radio stations do I listen to. I bet he enjoys a whole lot of music because he loves it. But a lot of people that are into mainstream and they're into radio music, it's not because they love that shit. It's because they're just not that into music. And that's what fucking the mainstream puts out. And so everyone hears that. And they're not looking for other shit. They're not looking for other music. They're not looking for a subculture. And then there's also our sense of humor, right? That juggalo sense of humor. How do I define this? Like, fucking dick and fart jokes, cussing like a sailor, making jokes about stuff that maybe some button-up types would find not funny, and all the family kids that that draw on quotes from songs, and they're like, well, fucking in that song, like, how long are you gonna be down? What about that? Or what about Juggalo Family song? And that's why yeah, I get it. You guys are trying to justify your identity by referring to the icons. You know what I mean? And then old OG Juggalos are looking at these family kids like, man, shut the fuck up, right? But then you got like these super cynical egomaniacs and just real abrasive outcasts, right? And they're gonna just be like, fuck you, I don't give a fuck. And what happens when they get challenged? They say, well, look at ICP. They pull pranks and, they make jokes and they don't give a fuck. And they're drawing from the icons to justify how they feel about the subculture. So everybody has their own justification for how they fit into this puzzle piece. I'm sorry, how they fit into the puzzle. And everybody finds their peace of mind in the puzzle factory, okay? The other thing is that we all have curious minds. And I think that's the difference between a fake juggalo and a real juggalo, because a fake juggalo isn't so much curious as more of they're just looking for, they're just trying to fit in, they're posing, you know what I mean? But if you have a curious mind, then you're going to dig in and investigate and learn the history and enjoy, you're going to get so much more out of it if you're open-minded, okay? And lastly, the identifiable aspects of being a real juggalo is being an outcast, okay? And not being accepted and living through that. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with your own family, your own father and mother, and your siblings and your best friend. And if distance means nothing and family is everything, then you're good. But if you don't have that in your life yet, then you're still looking for it, okay? Acceptance. And what's that other thing? Yeah, no, it's just acceptance. That's all. So as generations pass, like, remember Gen X? I forget, was that the 90s people? Is that me? Am I Gen X? I don't even fucking know what the mainstream calls us. We're juggalos, but now there's like a digital generation. It's 2012, so does that mean we're in the age of information officially, right? Or is that if we live past the Mayan calendar end? I don't know. But remember back in the 90s when everyone was like, whoop, there it is, whoop, there it is. You know, that was real annoying. I'm just kidding. That was fucking cool. But, you know, that fad died out. But it doesn't mean Naughty by Nature isn't valid. I mean, I can't wait to see Ice-T's The Art of Rap documentary. And I'm sure Naughty by Nature is going to get some mentioning. You know what I mean? Will ICP? I doubt it. But that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? No big deal, guys. Everything's going to work out the way it was meant to be. We're only approaching the second deck. I'm sorry, the second card of the second deck. We got so much more to go. You know what I mean? We got a long way to go here. But I also remember a random Thanksgiving when everybody wouldn't stop saying, "Is that your final answer?" Because that showed You Want to Be a Millionaire was mainstream. And yeah, you know, ICP's become a little mainstream, and that pisses off a lot of OGs. Family kids are a little less worried about that because that's how they discovered it. It's like, were you upset that ICP was on MTV when Shockumentary came out? Because MTV is fucking mainstream, and it's like, but that's how a lot of juggalos found out about it. But we've forgotten about that because all these years have gone by. Right now, we're only tripping about right now. We're not tripping about the past. Nobody cares about the past. And in the future, we're not really going to care so much about right now, but we're going to care about ourselves and our own identity, and then also the subculture that we still fit into. And if you don't fit into the juggalo subculture, then you must have lost your sense of humor and your taste of music, your love for music, and you must have really lost your fucking sense of humor, and maybe you're not as open-minded as you used to be, and, you know, you may still be an outcast, but at the same time, it's you who's outcasting yourself from the subculture, not the other way around. And when I was a kid, I remember people said, I want to be an astronaut or a fireman or a movie star or a rock star, you know? Right? I mean, everybody wants to be a fucking rock star. And when I was a kid, Sesame Street didn't promote rap, okay? And, you know, I got into rap through ICP, okay? I was into a lot of music as a kid, and you know, but I was also into art, and when I was a kid, I always said I want to be a newspaper comic strip artist as an adult. That's what I wanted to be, a newspaper comic strip artist. And my favorite comic strips were Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side. And all right, look, if you guys know Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side, you know the creativity, the imagination, and the humor, and it really is a certain taste of humor. Like, you can look at a Far Side comic, and it's not funny to someone, but to me, it's fucking genius. Okay, and when you can read comics and you can laugh at things that other people can't laugh at, that's in your head, you know. And then you can look at the world, and now you can start to laugh at things that other people aren't laughing at, and that's what juggalos do. Everything else that people do, like get emotional and get angry and vengeful, whatever. People are people, but juggalos are, well, let's put it this way. You either are or you aren't, but you're the one that determines that. So everybody else shut the fuck up, especially you, Big Irish. I'm just kidding. Everybody needs to subscribe to Big Irish. He is the only person on YouTube who is worth dick riding. I promise you. In the juggalo subculture, I mean. So, much clown love. I'm Beastmaster. Don't get it twisted. Peace out.